past 6 months or 8 months now, we've had a chance to really get into our Barren County Parks and Rec program. We're learning every day. There's something that I've told to Chris, that's our park director, is that if we aren't improving, then something's wrong. So his goal is to always improve, whether it's in scheduling, spending, anything that we can do, field maintenance. We want to make sure we're improving. If we're not improving, then there's a problem. I don't view of everything, one wrong thing being the worst thing. So as long as we improve from that, I'm good with that. There's been some questions that I've had to answer, in the past 8 months about Parks and Rec and why we've chosen to do Parks and Rec the reason why we have. We chose a park director, Mr. Chris Jennings, and Chris had worked as an umpire for years and been very supportive of all the kids and youth programs in the area. I've known Chris a long time too, and I knew, I could tell the excitement that he had with it. And Chris came in ready to go. And he's done a great job so far. Again, he's learning every day. In the spring league, we ran 2 complete complexes. He ran Jackie Browning Park, where we have the 4 fields there, and then he also ran Beaver Creek, which is also through the city, and we worked out an agreement with the city to use those fields, which allowed our teams to play more throughout the weeks and get more games in. And it definitely paid off, especially because we had a lot of rain in the spring, and we were able to at least get their games in. Chris did a great job in regards to understanding where he needed to be at the right time, and we actually gave him help in addition to just Chris, because it's great to have youth workers out there, but you also need more adults. And I've always thought that even with my businesses, I look at it, I like to have somebody that runs the facility. I also then want to have somebody that's an adult that actually handles like the administrative part of it, the employees, and deals with maybe in the concessions. So we hired an individual, her name's Missy Tao, and she's done great. She's been in a retail business before. She's very good at dealing with people and customer service. So she's been able to take that on. And, by hiring Missy, it's allowed us to do more. We've been able to take on more roles through concessions at other facilities. We're able to offer more concessions not just at Jackie Browning, but we also are able to offer concessions now at the soccer complex and also at the football field, which has not been before. We're using the old football field concession area. So, by having somebody extra to help, that really has pulled away from Chris being able to still be able to run the games in the whole area. There's a lot more to it than just, I had somebody contact me and they wanted to know about, our mowing contracts. They want to know why we're subbing out the mowing. And well, for one, it's an insane amount of mowing to do. And especially to ask, one individual to do all of that, it's hard. I have trouble putting somebody, spreading them so thin that they're not able to do their actual job. And so, and also the maintenance of the equipment, the gas that you have to put into the equipment, and just the timing of getting it done. And so we chose in March to sub out the mowing contract. And, and I think there'd been maybe before they had subbed some stuff out before, not completely like we did. But, that was the best choice for us. And also, at the time, we didn't have anyone certified to do the spraying. So we had to sub that out automatically because you don't want to have a bunch of weeds out there and everything. So, we subbed out the spraying contract and the mowing in March. It was advertised in the paper. And also, I think some people had sent out messages to maybe local people to say, hey, these are out. I think it was even on Parks and Rec's page possibly. And anyway, and it was out, and we got bids in, and we chose the contract to proceed with the person we're using right now, which is MCS. And they've done a great job. When they get there, they come in with a huge amount of people and a huge amount of mowers. So that project gets done really quick, and they've been really good if we have an issue to say, hey, we want this, it's not done correctly, or we need this done differently, and they fixed it. And so, so far it's done great. And now next season we will bid it out again. So if anybody wants to bid that, we welcome any bids. and it'll probably go out around February, March is what I've told people. And, you know, I think that's the best option in regards to, especially with the maintenance of equipment, the gas. And, you know, you think about it during the season, when we're in school, a lot of our kid workers are in school. So, you know, being able to have that done the way we can do it privately is the way we would like to continue that. The other things we've done, we've expanded more in like an assistant type to Chris, like another adult, especially with running 2 complexes. We've always tried to not have 2 adults running 1 complex. It's always been just typically, you know, we've tried to spread that, and they all know that, and then it just helps Chris. It helps be able to, you know, if there's a problem with a parent or if there's a problem with somebody having an issue, period, you know, you have somebody there that's able to take care of the adult things. So that's worked out. You know, I do think you know, in the spring, I think we had around 850 kids, or a little bit more than that. I mean, it's a huge league, and people don't understand how big the league is. You know, we did extend the season 1 week longer, and that was due to me. It was not Chris, and I will take the fault on that. And the reason why I did that, when I first came into office, one of the biggest complaints I had was that we did not make up rainout games. And I get it on both sides. I get the reason to make them up, and I get the reason why you can't make them up. But, you know, I was very adamant that we make up as many rainout games as we can. And it did push the season along, and some people did end up playing crazy amounts in that last 3 weeks. But the way I look at it is this. You know, we had 850 kids in the league. Let's just say 80% of those kids will never play All-Stars, and they will never play on a travel team. So this is their time to play baseball, softball, t-ball, and coach pitch. We want to make sure they get their games in and they get the experience that they deserve. And so that was my end game. And, you know, this next year, I do promise in the Spring League, we will set a defined end date so everyone can plan their vacations and do that, because I get it. And summer is a very valuable time, and you want to, you know, be able to spend it with your family. So we will stick more to a better plan next year, maybe start a week earlier to allow that gap in case of rain. Because Lord, we had so much rain this year. It was more than a normal year. But that's basically where we're at with the spring. In the fall, we just now started running about 47 teams this fall at 1 complex. So, you know, you think about that, we're only running 1 complex now, 4 fields. So we will be playing a lot of games, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. We don't play Fridays because of football, and Wednesdays because of church. We play Saturdays. You might see some Sunday afternoon games if we have to make up games. But we're going to try our hardest to make sure you get the games in that you've signed up for and paid for, and in the end of season tournaments as well. We are also scheduling around some tournaments that are being hosted here by local individuals, so we're trying to allow that to happen as well. And I do feel like Chris is working hard. Every time I see him, he is, you know, trying to better these fields and trying to do things. And, you know, and we had our committee actually approved Chris and to buy or do a type of coating to the fields that will help us not have as many rainout games. The way I understand it is this is what Warren County does to their fields, and on games last season that we could not play, they could. So we're hoping, you know, and if it comes a torrential downpour, you're gonna have to wait a day or two. But hopefully, instead of a 3-day period, we're able just to wait a day or two. And so that's our end game, is to make improvements like that. The other improvements would be, you know, big improvements, which we're looking at for is really adding some fields there at Jackie Browning Park, adding parking, more shade structures, bleachers, places to sit, and just a better concession and restroom area in general. We want to make Jackie Browning Park, we want it to look and we want it to function the way it should be and be able to facilitate more tournaments. And we want people to come there and have a great impression. You know, we already do, though. You know, we had a guy come in this summer. He was a big TikTok guy, and I know some people saw the videos. But he was very impressed with our fields and just the upkeep and our scoreboards. I mean, that was a big topic, was that our scoreboards worked. And so, and I guess that's not common. So I was like, well, and he actually, you know, was just very impressed with it. So that made me feel like we're at least we're doing on the right track to do some great things here. And we want to continue to invest in our parks program, because that's where I like to see my tax dollars spent, is investing in our youth and and improving our infrastructure in our community. So that is basically what's going on with Jackie Browning Park. And so when I go back to Jackie Browning Park, which is your 4 baseball fields, and that's the leagues that we run, which are baseball, t-ball, softball, coach pitch, that all that money actually comes to here in fiscal court. And that money is generated, and this year we did have more income than we had from the previous year, which is a positive, and through the last fiscal year, I think they did some park improvements before I came in, and that was, I think, to improve some flooding issues out there, and, that was a large chunk that was spent out of the parks program. But we're able to actually use some of that. We've just finished that to hopefully get some government money back from that we should have already gotten back that we hadn't got back yet. So, we're just trying to, anything we can put into the parks, we want to make sure we're generating also in regards to revenue. We've increased our fees for advertising at the park, which our community businesses are wonderful and they want to help and they want to do these things. So we're trying to give them more options to do that. And we're hoping to increase that amount substantially compared to what it was so that we do have more donations coming into the park. And we're able to do better things, And we have a playground coming. That's coming in the spring. We've already purchased sent the PO off. So we got a half off opportunity through Little Tykes to get this playground. I've already said that once or twice, but it's added into all this design that Jackie Browning will look like. But, so dealing with Jackie Browning is primarily my concern in government. And with Chris, that's his primary role. The other area of Jackie Browning, which is the football field, there is some kind of confusion sometimes. Like we get, example, the Barren County Schools actually runs the Barren County Football Youth League. And that is not through Barren County Fiscal Court. We don't collect any of those fees. We don't collect any of that gate. Those fees and gate are given towards the school or going to the program to run the program, pay for the umpires, equipment, scholarship children that cannot participate without the scholarship. Those are the things that those fees go towards. There's always a little bit of, people don't understand when they're coming in, they pay to go to the football game. They think that we're the same entity when you come to go into the baseball game, and it's a totally different entity. Our fees that come through the gate for baseball goes towards fiscal court. The fees that come in at the football field go to Barren County Schools for the football program. And, we're responsible. We do take on the responsibility to maintain the football field, so that's included in our mowing contract. It's mowed once a week on Wednesdays. The other things we take on is we are providing concessions there now at the old concessionary. We did clean that out. And we're going to try to do some more because we've tried to push everything over to the other side so that parents can actually use the extra parking, and we added the extra entrance for football. We were able to do that because it made sense to help out with our baseball area, because by having the football people park in that area, it allows not as much crowding in the parking lot for baseball. That's one thing we really do ask, is that if you are a football parent, you use the football parking, and that way it allows plenty of room for our baseball parking. And I do feel like we have a lot of parking out there right now. I feel like we've increased that. I think the entrance for the football has been a big hit. We're actually getting ready to add some blacktop out there for the exit of that, because that way it makes the pull out a little bit easier. We are working towards that. The other things that we're doing, I know that people don't like porta potties, but the restrooms that are there that were built way back before I came into this position are just not maintainable. There's continuous flooding. We've been looking at other options to see what can we do. To build a restroom is really very expensive, and I can tell you that because the estimate we got for restrooms to build at the soccer complex were $175,000 to build a restroom. And that's the restroom size that you'd have to build, because you'd have to build 2 or 3 on the women's and 2 or 3 on the men's stall. And, it's just not cheap. And so, especially with us as a county not having a lot of income from that program, it's really hard to justify, especially when that is only used for 3 months. Now, I have reached out to the city to see if there's something maybe we could do together in buying maybe a mobile, nicer porta potty to see if it, because you've seen those. I'm sure they've used them now at the soccer complex or at the soccer field at Barren County High School, so I'm seeing how that goes with theirs first. But, we are providing the porta potties there. We are personally going in there. Our parks committee or parks staff to make sure they're cleaned up as much as possible before the game. And we're trying. I mean, we really are. We've moved the bleachers over to that area. Like I said, I've told the concession workers I almost want them to walk over to that area, hopefully, and try to make some sales that way. Kind of like, when you go to like baseball games, in the big baseball games, they're carrying around the popcorn and the drinks, and so that we make it as easy as possible for these people that are there. But again, we want to make sure everybody understands the difference in, the football program is ran through Barren County Schools, and then also the scoreboard is our responsibility to keep it up, moving, and electrical, sadly, we did have some people go up there and cut some wires. I don't know why people want to do that stuff, but so we're repairing that. Once that is repaired, the football program is responsible to put the score up there. We don't actually provide staff for that. So, we just want to support the football program as much as possible, and we have a great relationship with the individuals that are over the football program, and it's great that their program continues to grow. And we've even reached out to offer opportunities for them to play more games at other facilities like the soccer complex. We've offered them the backfield at the soccer complex to practice on. That's worked out really well for them. And I think that we're all on the same page. We want to make sure the general public understands the difference between the two programs. The other complex that I'm over is the soccer complex, and that's 1297 Soccer Complex. The soccer complex is 4 entities. I'm the chair of the board, but it's Barren County Fiscal Court, Glasgow, the city of Glasgow, which the mayor is on there, and then Barren County Schools has a rep, and then Glasgow City Schools have a rep. So all 4 entities, this was all started, those 4 entities, and it's continued to run that way. Each entity puts a certain amount of money in. I think it's $17,500 each year that we put in as a donation to the account for the maintenance of those facilities. It's a big deal. I mean, the soccer complex is a big deal. In the fall, majority is schools that are out there, school soccer, middle school, high school, tons of games. And we do have a lot of games going on. I said we did take over the concession area because we have to generate, as a county, we've got to generate some more income from the soccer complex because we're spending a lot of time at the soccer complex to keep it going. Chris is over the soccer complex, actually. That's one of his jobs. I mean, it's a crazy thing. And, and he has been doing a really good job at it. And anytime they have an issue, I feel like we've tried to go at it as hard as possible. We have some lighting issues out there that's going to have to be repaired. We're trying to get all that worked out. We need light. We need more lights at the soccer complex. We need lights on the backfield. And that's something, but you look at lights. Lights are $275,000 to light that field. So, the entity the 4 entities that are there are going to have to decide, where that additional funding comes from. How are we, and now that I've come into this, I do see now how the complex has kind of not, the restrooms, they're embarrassing. They're very embarrassing. And, but if you look at just the money everybody's put in, there's not enough money in there to do those things. And the city and the county both stepped up and were like, we've got to do better. And we have both offered to do, to split the restrooms out there. Now, I have asked the county schools and the city schools to give money towards the restrooms. At the time, they said they couldn't, but we're hoping we'll see what happens, in the next year or so. But at the time, when we approved it this summer, they didn't. But the restrooms won't start, I think, until November. Anyway, so we are doing improvements, I feel like, and I feel like we've been very supportive of the soccer complex. And, we don't make any money off the soccer complex. I mean, the county makes not $1 off the soccer complex. So that's the reason why we've started doing, selling the concessions out there. We're trying to kind of create some kind of income, like I said, to help in regards to, what we've got going on. We did sub out the mowing contract there as well. The 4 entities We put the bid out. We had bids come in, and we chose MCS Lawn Care was one that was chosen for that one as well. Again, another situation. They roll up in there. It's got to be mowed twice a week in this contract during season. That's a big job. I mean, the soccer complex is huge. If you're going to mow the entire thing and then mow the fields another time, and they do it. They've done a good job. We have not had any problems. But like I said, they roll up with about, I don't know how many mowers, but there's a lot of vehicles out there, and there's people mowing on every field at the same time. And it gets it done when it needs to be done. They mowed, like I said, they mow twice a week during season. During the off season, they mow once a week, and they also did the spraying. And people, I've had the question reach out to me about, why don't we use the inmates? I've had that before, because that's another thing I have to deal with. I'm not over the jail, but I work with the jailer, and they are very good about helping me anytime I need anything. But that's not something you can do. Inmates, when they go out to do work in the community, picking up trash, mowing, whatever, they cannot be on a schedule. Like, you cannot know where they're going to be. I have no idea where they're at any day of the week unless I've passed by and seen them. And the reason for that is, there's danger, for one, for both the public and also for the inmates. Because, if an inmate is in a specific location every day, then somebody can find them if they were looking for them at that point. The other thing, too, is, we don't want drugs, at our facilities. And there's sometimes a risk with that, and sadly, that's kind of the way sometimes that drugs do get in the jail, is when these inmates are out, you have to be very strict about where they're going, because people will go before they've gotten there. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I've learned something new every day on this, but the inmates doing the mowing at either of these facilities is off the table. And that is because they cannot be on a schedule, and they honestly cannot be at the fields when kids are there either. And like I said, we just cannot do that. So, economically, it would make a lot of sense, because it would be free mowing, but you'd also have to pay for the equipment and the gas, but it's not going to happen. So, and here's the other thing too with Parks and Rec. And I think people don't understand is that, Parks and Rec is a quality of life. Anything that we can do to better our quality of life improves our image in Barren County for industries, for people to move here. And, if you're moving here with a young family and you can see how much your community and your county supports your children and their athletics, that's a game changer in regards to why you would move to an area or why you would come here to work. So, we want to make sure we continue to support our parks. But, I think the reason for this was just to explain kind of why we are doing what we're doing. And like I said, we're learning new every day. If anyone ever has an issue, I take calls, I take emails, I take them all the time. And I listen. It's not that I blow things off and say, that's not the truth. I mean, I always at least give it a second thought to find out, do we need to do better? What are we doing wrong? How can we improve? And Chris has been very receptive to that as well, and Missy and the whole crew. And, we've got a good parks committee that really want to invest in the kids. And our fiscal court's been very supportive as well. And they can see it too, that the improvement that we can make with Parks and Rec is something that it's more of, it's not really a get your money back on. It's this is how we can put tax dollars to work, and you can see it. And we hope that you all continue to support Barren County Parks and Rec, and you play in our leagues, or you support the city Parks and Rec, and that we can continue to grow our leagues and provide great facilities and improve anything that we can do every day. So, thank you.